In Chapter 6 of Justice and Charity, Fulton J. Sheen turns to one of the most pressing questions in economic life, the problem of distribution. The central issue, he reminds us, is not simply how wealth is produced, but how it is distributed in a way that upholds justice, charity, and the dignity of every human person. Both capitalism and communism attempt to answer this question, but both fall short in very different ways. The Catholic vision, Sheen explains, is a third path, the distribution of productive private property as widely as possible among the people. Capitalism, Sheen argues, suffers from a fundamental flaw, the concentration of wealth and productive property in the hands of a few. In this system, ownership and labor are separated. A worker labors for wages but does not own the means of production. His efforts enrich another man's property while he remains dependent. Capitalism often assumes that charity or philanthropy can soften these inequalities, but Sheen warns this is inadequate. Charity cannot replace justice. As long as the system itself keeps ownership away from the many, inequality deepens. The result is a rigid class distinction. Owners on one side, laborers on the other. Man is treated primarily as a producer and consumer, rather than as a person endowed with dignity. Distribution under capitalism tends toward inequality and dependency, leaving millions without a real stake in the goods of society. Communism rises as a reaction against capitalism's injustices. Where capitalism concentrates ownership in a few hands, communism abolishes it altogether. The state assumes ownership of property, production, and distribution. While promising equality, it achieves it only by denying freedom. In such a system, the individual becomes merely a tool of the state, stripped of initiative and independence. Distribution is no longer guided by moral principles, but dictated by coercion. Communism promises liberation, but delivers bureaucracy, uniformity, and enslavement. Instead of dignifying man, it subjects him to the machinery of the state. Against these two extremes, Sheen sets forth the Catholic solution. Productive, private property should be widely distributed among the people. This principle makes an important distinction. Productive property, land, tools, businesses, and means of production ought not be concentrated in a few hands, nor confiscated by the state. It should instead be owned broadly, ensuring that families and individuals have access to the means by which they can sustain themselves. Consumer goods, on the other hand, such as food or clothing, naturally pass through use and are not the focus of the distributive question. By encouraging widespread ownership of productive property, society preserves human dignity and independence. Families gain stability when they are not dependent on either a distant corporation or a controlling state. Property, rightly distributed, is a safeguard of freedom. Sheen insists that property ownership is not just an economic issue, but a moral one. When a man owns property, he gains not only security, but also responsibility and stewardship. Ownership calls forth initiative, hard work, and care for the common good. It prevents exploitation because the worker is also an owner. Such distribution creates an organic society where relationships are ordered not by class struggle or bureaucracy, but by justice and mutual responsibility. It is a system anchored in justice, ensuring fair access to property, and charity, guiding owners to use their property not selfishly, but for the good of all. The Catholic teaching rests on natural law. God created the earth and its goods for the benefit of all mankind. Private property is indeed a right, but it is not absolute. It must always serve the common good. Justice requires that property be widely distributed. Charity perfects justice by teaching men to use what they own with love for others. Fulton Sheen concludes that both capitalism and communism are failures in distribution. Capitalism breeds injustice through inequality. Communism breeds injustice through tyranny. Catholic social teaching proposes a third way, justice through the wide distribution of productive private property. This system alone upholds the dignity of man, balances freedom with responsibility, and harmonizes justice with charity. In such a society, men and women are not reduced to mere workers or state cogs, but are recognized as children of God, entrusted with property, responsibility, and the task of building a just and charitable order. It's time for the conversation that ties it all together. If you're in a group, now's the perfect time to grab your review questions and jump right into some awesome discussion. Share your thoughts, ask questions, and let's see what wisdom everyone brings to the table. The real magic happens when we learn from each other.